starting the show today with what the Speakmans are calling their biggest ever challenge.
Well, today they're aiming to help mum of four, Nicola Lane, overcome her fear of travelling and claustrophobia. Before we chat to the Speakmans, let's have a look at Nicola's story.
My name's Nicola and I'm from the Isle of Wight. About 1991, I was in a car accident and I was trapped in the car. I was left in there for a good 10 minutes before they managed to get me out. So panic mode set in. I can't be closed in anywhere. The thought of that I'm going to be sat somewhere where I can't get out, it feels like my heart will stop. My husband and I booked a holiday to Fuerteventura. We paid for it in full when we booked it, but 2 weeks before the holiday, I just couldn't do it, and we didn't go. It's a major guilt factor that I couldn't even do it for my children. I'm absolutely petrified. If the Speakmans could cure me, I'd be able to fulfil all my wildest dreams. I'd be able to make my family happy and make my family proud.
Oh, well, as you saw there, Nicola's fear is crippling her life, and we told you yesterday that we hope to get her off the Isle of Wight via a helicopter, but that can't happen today, sadly, due to the weather.
Which is a bit annoying, as ever, the Speakmans are not going to give up, and we can speak to Nick now. Morning, Nick. So this is serious. This is debilitating.
Morning, Phil. Phil, yeah, it is. Can you just come with me, please? We're still in the midst of the therapy. It is massively debilitating. We were at the airfield this morning, the weather turned against us, but we are determined to get Nicola off the island. So we're going to get her, hopefully, in one of these hovercrafts within the next 25 minutes.
So what is it? What is the fear? Is it a fear of travelling? Is it the claustrophobia? Where did it start?
Well, it started in 1991, so it's like 28 years ago. She had this horrific car crash, ended upside down in the car, felt totally trapped, so that created the claustrophobia, and that's then gone into all forms of travel. So basically, she struggles to leave the island.
OK, so you're... I mean, it's like Alcatraz. She's stranded on there. I know she gets to see Southampton maybe once a year with her friend, but the ferry trip is an absolute nightmare. You say this is a tricky one for you.
It is a real tricky one, because even though she has been off the island, she's always been anxious and just wanted to get back as soon as possible. So what we want to do is not only get her off the island, but get off the island and actually enjoy it. That's the thing. But time's against us, so if you don't mind, Philip, we'd really like to crack on, and we'd like to come back to you later if that's all right.
No, you carry on, carry on.
Please yourself. All right, then off you go.
See you in a bit. Good luck.
Thank you.
Right, now it's time to go back to the Isle of Wight, where Nick and Eva Speakman are about to help Nicola Lane face her fears and board a small hovercraft in the hope of getting her off the island to the mainland.
Well, Nick and Eva are there now. How are you getting on?
Yeah, well, we're here. 28 years of a fear, 28 years of struggling to leave the island. We're actually stood here right now in front of this hovercraft. So, Nicola, it's down to you now. How are you feeling?
I feel good.
You do?
I'm ready.
Feel good? Well, I'm ready. Come on, well, let's do this. Come on, after you.
After you, let's see.
Come on.
Hopefully see you on the other side.
Bearing in mind that that this is a lady who she bought an £800 holiday that she could never take because she was too scared. She didn't go on a honeymoon. She can only get to Southampton maybe once a year, but has terrible anxiety when she does it. She would not be able to do this without obviously feeling greatly upset.
Happy,
so she's smiling.
Welcome aboard Hover Travel. We'd like to take a few moments to draw your attention.
Welcome back before the break. We just saw Nick and Eva help mum of four, Nicole Lane, face her fears and board a hovercraft. And this is the shot of them setting off. There they go.
Just moments ago, that one, as we were on the break. I think we can go live to it now. That was it leaving the hover park. And there it is. That's the live shot of it now, crossing over.
No going back
to
now.
South Sea. And so she looked very smiley on there. Obviously, we'll get a report when she... let's see if we can go onto the hovercraft.
See if she's still smiling now.
Let's get in. There it is. She's smiling.
And
the lady, essentially, the Isle of Wight was her Alcatraz. She could not get off.
I can't breathe. Yeah, and you
that's always good.
Yeah, you're all happy.
But as I said, I wanted you not only to get off the island, but to really enjoy it.
Yeah, great. We'll come back to that a little bit
Very
later
good.
on. That is another one of their huge successes. Big moment for her. We started the show with a story of Nicola Lane and her struggle to leave the Isle of Wight due to her severe claustrophobia.
Yes, Nicola was terrified of getting on a plane, on a boat, or even in certain cars due to an overwhelming feeling of being trapped.
Well, earlier we saw Nick and Eva Speakman help Nicola board a hovercraft for the first time. We can now go live to Southsea to see how they're getting on. So we've got Nick there, we've got Eva there, and how's Nicola feeling?
Hi. Well, ask Nicola. Nicola, how are you feeling?
I feel fine. I'm perfect.
So yeah,
cured?
We got on the hovercraft.
Sorry?
Are you cured?
I'm cured. I'm ready.
It was so amazing on the hovercraft because she absolutely loved being on it as well, and that was the aim, not only to get her over here, but to enjoy the journey.
Yeah, and it was lovely to see her smile, because literally just talking about it before we even started therapy, she was a nervous wreck. I've got to be honest, so were we a little bit, because this was such a big challenge for us this time, in the time frame that we had to try and get her onto the hovercraft, but also she's had this intense fear for 28 years, and literally she was shaking so much that last Thursday, apparently, she even tried to back out. So I'm hoping that you don't regret now having gone through with it.
No, not at all.
Nicola, how bad was it for you?
Really good.
How bad was your life before today?
Oh, it's really hard to explain, but the fear of having to go anywhere was just, it was awful. But, you know, I just had to do it, but I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But now I can do it.
And you can do it, and this has kind of opened up so many opportunities. It's opened up the world, and you wanted to travel because your dad travelled, and that's something that you wanted to do, but weren't able to.
No, no, but I will.
Yeah,
I'll get there.
You made a promise to your dad,
Yeah.
didn't you? What was that promise?
That I would have my honeymoon and take it there, because we didn't have a honeymoon.
Got married 21 years ago and not had a honeymoon yet.
Yeah,
No.
and her dad absolutely loved Barbados and travelled there often. And Nicola was telling us that when her dad was literally dying, she did promise her dad that she would one day get to Barbados. But she said even when she said it, she didn't really believe it, did you?
No.
But, and I haven't asked you this question yet, but how does that feel now? Could you go to Barbados?
I'll go. I'm going.
You going?
I'm going.
You'll fulfil that promise.
I will. I promise.
Guys, how did you do it? What did you find and hook into? Because I think Nicola thought that years ago it was that car accident. Is that what you hooked into?
That's exactly what it was. You see, Nicola was trapped in this car that was upside down. And in that moment, where she thought she wasn't going to escape, she just felt trapped, and therefore that's what started the claustrophobia. But what she didn't realise is actually being trapped in that car was the very thing that saved her life. And she spent 28 years victimising something that actually saved her. And when we made her realise that that actually did save her life, she let it go.
Yeah, it was quite instant to see that this thing that she was protecting herself from, the moment she had that realisation that the enclosed space was the thing that had protected her, literally you could see it kind of lift. And then we also pointed out, because obviously our therapy is based on giving overwhelming evidence to the contrary, and we asked her about times that she or her children had been trapped to keep safe, and then she got it, and she was like, oh my goodness, in the womb, I've actually, you know, the womb is an enclosed space, and it's
Most
it's
enclosed space ever.
that anybody will ever go in, and the reason for that enclosure is to keep us safe. And literally, the moment she got that, she said, I can't believe it. 'Cause she didn't believe us when we got here today. She did not believe that we would help her. She said, I just cannot see a way out of this. And the moment we said those two things, she said, I've got it. I've totally got
Amazing.
it. I realise now that actually it's safe.
And actually,
yeah,
it's
it was
hearing
great.
you say
It was great
that,
to see.
hearing you say that about the claustrophobia, that's something that anyone actually watching that may have gone, well, I don't like small spaces, they can apply that to themselves, can't they? So it won't just help Nicola, it will help lots of people.
Yeah, we really hope so, because that is the way to overcome any fear or phobia, is to look we'll see it for what it is and not how it felt. So although Nicola felt trapped, the reality of it was was that it was keeping her safe, because had she been in an open-top car, like a convertible car, she probably wouldn't be here today. So it's understanding that the thing that we're actually blaming for our fear, the thing that we've attached our fight-or-flight response to, because that's what gives us those feelings of anxiety and intense fear, once you realise actually that that isn't a danger, that link is severed, and therefore now, literally, she got on the ferry for the first time and she was like, gosh, I'm actually really enjoying this.
Yeah.
What a
And
result.
I think you're quite excited now because there's so many other things. Yeah, no, you couldn't go in back of cars, things like theatre, cinemas, anything.
on a train.
Incredible.
It's interesting that you should say that, actually, guys. Theatre and all that sort of stuff.
What's that?
Well, her adventure doesn't end here. We're now going to bring her up to London. We're going to treat her and her best friend to a night out and 2 tickets to see Mamma Mia.
Yay!
Yeah!
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that.
We're going on the train.
Yeah,
do it.
she get a
No
train.
problem.
Well, and we're also going to book a hotel that's got a lift in, so we'll see how she is in lifts. Thank you, guys. Well done.
Well done.
Enjoy,
Thank you,
Nicola.
Christians. Well done.
Bye now.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.